Aloha and good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, and I'm joining you from Livestream.travel eTurbo News in Honolulu, Hawaii. Today, we're going all the way around the world where it's late at night. I believe it's 2:35 in the morning. Here, it's
Mhm.
3:35 in the afternoon right now. And we're going to welcome Vera Oioma, and I probably pronounced this wrong, in Lagos, Nigeria. Um,
Yep.
we're celebrating this week, this month, the launch for World Tourism Network. World Tourism Network, we're a new organization emerging out of the rebuilding.travel discussion. We had since March 8th of this year when COVID just became a first threat. And we started this in Berlin at the ITB trade show, but unfortunately ITB was canceled, but we still started the rebuilding.travel. And this has been an active discussion, but now we felt it was time to structure it a little bit more. So we launched the World Tourism Network. And um, for those of you that are not part of us, you can join us at WTN.travel. We have both free and we also have regular memberships, and there's small fees involved so we can stay alive. We are an organization what is built from the bottom up. That means our goal is to establish chapters in regions around the world. These could be cities, regions, countries. It really doesn't make any difference, but we want people that take a charge of a chapter. And then I think the organization as a global organization, and we are truly global because we now have more than 1,000 members in 124 countries around the world, we can really get local communities to become um, globally important. And that's really what we want. It's all about visibility and getting um, the small and medium-sized businesses in the world in the travel and tourism field a better voice, and that's really what we're aiming for. We have an entire month of celebration. This is one out of many really great events we have. Stephen, who's with us from New York, knows this very well because he has attended every single session, and there are more to come. You can also find what else is coming. You can sign up and actually be live with us. So if you wanted to be part of us and you can ask questions, just sign up live. You go to WTN.travel, click on the blue banner for upcoming events, or on the red link, you find it in the menu very prominently, and you can sign up for the event. You don't even have to be a member, it's free for everyone, and we want everyone to be part of it. If you represent a local tourism board or any initiative and you think you have something really nice to present, you wanted to put a panel together, um, and present an event, we still have this. It's also free, and we offer this the entire month till December 30th. And on December 30th, we have a great celebration because on December 31st, the Spanish flu expired exactly 100 years ago. And our goal is to hopefully say the same for COVID and start the new year 2021 with a fresh look, and slowly get completely rid of the COVID. So that's, and we have a great presentation with a lady from Washington, D.C. and a lady from South Africa. And they both run the World Federation of Tour Guides. So we're going to have tour guides from all over the world attending, like we did at our virtual session just about a week or so ago. But they're going to be people from all countries. Today we have one more event coming up after this. What is two more events coming up? I'm sorry. Um, for instance, we have um, the gentleman who Deepak, who was the head of the Nepal Tourism Board. He put a panel together from tourism leaders in Nepal, in Bhutan, in Bangladesh, and northern India. And we're talking about the futures of the Himalaya tourism. That's coming up at 11 p.m. Hawaii time, what would make it about 4 a.m. in New York. And in Nigeria, it would be like 10 a.m. So if you wanted to uh, join us, otherwise, we show all the events on archive. They're all live, but they're also going to be archived and repeated throughout the month. So that was enough talking, but I wanted to welcome Vera Oyoma. She is joining us in the middle of the night from Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome.
Thank you,
Vera.
Jürgen. Thank you. So, hello everyone. Welcome to this section with me. My name is Vera Sharon Ohima, and I'm the founder of GitHub. And I'm excited to be here, even though it's 2:30 a.m. Like I told you again earlier, that I felt in my mind that I was traveling and I was trying to catch a flight. So yes, it worked for me. So today I'm going to be doing a presentation, and it's a short, sharp, practical run through of how personal branding works and how important it is, and how it's going to change the trend moving forward in post COVID-19. And then I'll just give an overview of what I did as an individual in developing my personal brand. And then I have two amazing panelists that will be joining me to share their experience and tell us what has worked and what is working, and how to navigate through the whole process of personal branding. So I'm sorry, I couldn't, I'm having problems sharing my slides. So I guess I'll just be taking it from the other um, computer that I have by my side here. Jürgen did promise that he would share it with the participants. So just like my intro, yes, I'm the founder of GitHub, and what I do, my expertise cut across tourism consultancy and strategies. I've well over 16 years experience in corporate travel and then leisure travel, which is like a fusion of business and leisure travel. And then I'm a travel writer and a travel blogger, and then I'm a vision board coach. I do this every beginning of the year and sometimes towards the end of the year. And then um, I'm a tourism event manager. So it means what it means is that I manage events that are primarily for tourism and travel, not the general conferences, but it has to be targeted towards that audience. And then I'm a destination marketer and manager as well. And then on the lighter side, I'm seeing myself more as a collaborator first before a competitor, usually when there's a project on hand, because I know that um, together we go far. So that is one strong forte that I have. I'm on a journey to grow the Africa tourism industry, and I believe in the Africa dream, which is now. Then I love red wine and cheese. Yes, that's where you can get me. so, well, let's dive in quickly. Let's dive in into the topic, which I promise is going to be engaging and informative. So, what is personal branding? If the slide was available, you would have seen that I had a picture of two individuals that I singled out. One of them is Richard Branson, just to make us understand what personal branding is, first of all. One of them is Richard Branson, and then I have the other character or the other person whose name is Tony Elumelu. Richard Branson is well known in the travel space, and Tony Elumelu, who is a Nigerian, is well known in the financial sector um, in Africa and beyond. So Richard Branson has done so much in creating his presence online as a person to in association with his brand, the Virgin Atlantic or the Virgin brand. And I mean, if you follow his journey, his story on LinkedIn, on Instagram, you will see his core values, which some of them include adventure, some of them include taking risk. You know, I could recall there was a time that he had to dress like a flight attendant in order to send a message to a competitor. So it resonates with his brand. His personal brand resonates with his organization brand. Then another person that I said I had was Tonelo Melu. He's quite well grounded in the financial sector here in Africa. He's the chairman of UBA Bank, United Bank for Africa, and quite of other companies. And he's known for building or rather growing entrepreneurs. So you will see his vision, his goals are towards empowering entrepreneurs. And that's we've seen him translate that in his personal brand, what he stands for. So that takes us now to what personal branding is. Now, personal branding could be likened to just like you have your organization branding, where you put in so much money to develop your brand, and then you make money from developing your brand. So, in like manner, if you move it on to the personal brand, you don't really have to spend so much like you would with your business brand, but with a present. Oh, fantastic! Oh, great! I'm excited. I can see my slides now. Yes. So I think I'll just take a step back and go back to the picture, the slide, which is slide where you have, that's the fourth slide rather, where you have Tunelu Melu, Richard Branson, and a whole lot of them. Yes, yes, this slide. Yes, thank you, thank you. So yes, like I was saying, that's if you translate what you put into developing your organization brand, that could equally be translated to what you put in developing your personal branding. Now, the difference is that with the personal branding, it's about you. It's about you, the individual. So sometimes we like to do like a quick search. We go to Google and then we ask Google and to find out what Google says about you. Now, if you do that on your phone or whatever device that you have nearby, there are two things that could pop up. If everybody has some content to say, everybody has some content from Google. Now it depends on how wide and how large that content is. So, because everybody has made use of the internet, probably your Facebook, or you made a comment, or you wrote a short post somewhere, and so Google archives that. So you always, when you put in your name, you always see something that talks about you. But how well are you developing your brand to stand apart from your competitors? So the next slide, yes, the next slide, my favorite quote from Jeff, the founder of Amazon. He says, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." So the next slide, please. So what is personal branding? Personal branding is a combination of how you put your skills, your values, your experience, your purpose together to communicate to the public what you want the public to make of you as an individual. Now, this is different from the organization. The organization, you're selling your product, you're selling your services. But in this case, you're selling you, your values, what you want the public to think about you. And in this slide, um, I've done something to highlight them, which on the left side you will see that for building your personal brand, it has to be a conscious effort and intentional. So it means you set out to do this. You don't pop into it. You don't pick it once and then you dump it. It's continuous and it's intentional. There's a purpose. There's an aim for doing that. And then the whole process involves influencing public perception. Now you want the public, your target audience, to think about you in a certain way. What value are you bringing to the table? What you want them to think about you when your name pops up, when they hear Vera? What does the name stand for as an individual? What are you showcasing to the public? And personal branding humanizes the whole experience, because I mean the organization part of it, you don't see we see the big companies advertising their brand, but there is no human touch to it. It's all about sales, 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 sales. But what about the value? What about caring for the audience? What the audience wants? It's more about sales. Now the market landscape has changed. It's no longer just buy. It's more of what you as an individual have to offer. Do you resonate with them as an audience? And then, I mean, which was what I first said about putting your experience, your expertise, your competencies all together and communicating that to your audience, what they want them to see, think, and make of you. That positions you as an authority in your industry. So if you're giving value as a tourism personnel, as a tourism player to your audience, they tend to trust you. They tend to take your word. They find your word credible. And then you're consistent with what you're delivering. So it means that you're building this content today. It means you build the content every other day or the next day or maybe the next week or however your calendar is mapped out. Then they see you to be consistent and they tend to trust your word. And then when they trust your word, they trust you, they start to get value from what you give, and that translates to sales. It gives a positive impact of you as an individual. And that's what we've seen the likes of Richard Branson, again, which I'll refer to, have done. I could recall that sometime in the past, when I think he did the flight attendant, I knew how many persons, then I was in the corporate trap, how many persons jumped on purchasing Virgin Atlantic ticket because of that simple act of publicity stunt that he did. So that tells you the power of personal branding. Now, what are the benefits of personal branding? One, why is it so important for us today? Trust is the first thing. When you build trust, you connect with people, you're able to build relationship, and trust drives relationship. And that's why your consumers or your audience, your colleagues, your potential clients will stick to you because they trust you. And then when these persons find trust in you, they recommend your services. So it links with your a business brand. It's like a spiral network, and it makes the whole connection easy because I mean they're able to place an individual Vera against her brand. The trust is there. And then another interesting one is your visibility online. Yes, nobody's going offline anymore. Gone are the days. People live online. Consumers live online. Travelers and tourists are online. Everybody's on their smartphone. They're checking what is up, what this person is doing. So if you're operating your business outside online and not paying attention to your visibility online, that is a no-no. Building your personal brand makes you stand out from the crowd. So yeah, you Google your name, for instance, it's Vera, and then you see, okay, just my LinkedIn. I worked here, I worked there, and that's it. And then my competitor has so many things. He may even have less experience than I have, but because he has positioned himself to be an authority in his industry, he tends to get more recognition. He tends to get more network than I. So you stand out from the crowd when you position yourself as an authority, when you take time to build your personal brand. Another aspect is that the market landscape has changed, and now it has even changed more with the pandemic. We've seen in this past few months what has happened. Everything has gone online. I mean, conferences have literally gone to our homes. Like I'm in my home, I'm doing this, and some other persons at their home receiving this. It's not like when it was when we had to come out of our house for the flight and go to these conferences and events. This year we saw these conferences and events coming to our place of dwelling. So it shows that the landscape has changed. So this is where you meet your audience. I do find out that a lot of industry employees and colleagues spend so much time talking about services, selling this destination, selling this product, selling the services. Um, the services in the tourism space are intangible, so it's so hard. Actually can't hold them. You actually can't check for quality. It's more of the experience, and it's so technical because you're creating the experience, you're producing the experience. The customers are the clients or the target audience are consuming this experience. So it's really tricky and tough. So that's where personal branding stands. It gives you a benefit because I mean, if you have done so much work building your brand, given the value, making your audience know what you stand for, it makes the relationship aspect so easy. They're able to connect with what you have. So the market landscape has changed, and it doesn't really add up right now not to move along with the trend. And then you're able to tell your stories, you take control of your stories totally. It's opposed to having someone tell your story. You're in control, you're on the driver's seat, as it were. And when you tell personalized stories, it incites emotions. I could recall a colleague who wrote something about an experience. Or let me even take it down to some article I shared sometime in the past where I had my first time experience in Dubai some years ago, like about 19 years ago. And I shared a story of how I wasn't careful about accommodation and I got robbed and all of that. And I was surprised of how much it connected with a particular set of audience who were potential travelers. And they were like, oh, really? So we could do this. They could take in from the value and the tips that I gave. So it makes you take control of your story, that you're able to connect and engage with your audience. And with personal branding, it's more of value before sales. Yeah, that's the best part. Value before sales. The consumers are overwhelmed. Like you turn on your TV, I mean, you go to your email, you're getting this promo about this destination from this travel company, from this hotel. I mean, you just see like sometimes about 100 mails. Consumers are overwhelmed. They get their brain gets blocked out. Who would we buy from, and all of that. But when you have your personal brand and you're building your personal brand consistently, it's a quick click to relate to say, oh, this is this individual. I've followed her story. I followed her on this social media platform, and I like the value she brings to the table. And they're able to connect your individual brand, which is your personal brand, to your business brand. And that's a boom, it's a bang. And then it unlock those opportunities. This is a perfect example. Like if I wasn't so passionate about building my personal brand, I wouldn't be here, because I mean, it unlocks those opportunities of people uh, you meet, your industry colleagues, your audience, your potential clients, your employees, your employers. There's a network relationship when you build with the right audience, and it drives business growth. It's a smart strategy to implement into your business plan, and it's a good working tool that works perfectly for everybody. And you don't really have to spend so much money to develop your brand. All you need is dedication, work, your time, and be consistent, and have a goal towards what you want to achieve. So the next slide, thank you. Okay, the next slide, yes. So we found out that more people, I mean, the importance of personal branding. It looks good. It looks so from certain research, from research from certain group of people, it's been shown that people are scared of putting their personality out there. People are scared of their reputation, and they are like, oh, what if I say this and that's not what I do? And then there's the imposter syndrome of coming out and appearing as fraudulent. So it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we've seen that the best of the best in this game all have their flaws and their weaknesses. And then, I mean, it's normal. Sometimes we could have a flaw here or there, but the most important thing is that we stay true to what we hold. So when you put your personality out there, you have to limit what you want the audience to see. So yes, you could cut off certain parts of your personal life if you do not want to translate that into an express you want to share. You should know where to draw the line. And then the imposter syndrome aspect is, yes, haters may come out for you online, because I mean, you as much as you get the right audience, you equally have those ones who come out for you. And so that's why your content strategy is key. You have to know how to target the right audience. Not every content should go on every platform. For instance, what you share on Instagram can be what you share on LinkedIn. What you share on Facebook can be what you share on Twitter. So every social media platform have the different content, and that's where the content strategy comes up, which is a whole different ball game of training and coaching. So the next slide. Yes. So I like to call this my take home, which is what from when we're done with this whole section. This is what I want everyone to sleep over. If you've not been building your personal branding, this is what we want you to sleep over and think about. Now, your personal brand as a thought leader by the public is the objective. This is what you want the public to think of you. What do you want to stand for? Do you want them to know you for giving authentic information, content, of solving problems? That is the objective. Now, the process to achieve this is building your personal branding, which is work, but it does pay off. And when you're consistent and you put in your effort, your passion, yes, it does pay off. And doing this is in association with your company brand. You get to build a community around your experience, your skills, your values, your purpose, and I mean, it provides value upfront before sales, which will position you as an authority in your industry. People see you to be the one who gives the right information, who offers value. Be consistent in crafting and curating. It's not a rocket science. It's not something that is made for a certain group of people. Everybody can. I mean, we tell stories, we talk every day. So be consistent in curating your digital presence and stay true to its tone. So if you're known for this particular tone, stay true to it, regardless of whatever platform you share and how you build your content. Always ensure that the tone remains there, consistent, and be transparent. Transparency always works. Be authentic in your message, and then link your personal brand to your business brand. It accelerates business growth. It drives volume, because in this time and age, the audience the millennials are taking a huge space of the consumers, the target audience. So, I mean, if everybody's going online, it really makes sense that at this point going forward, we have to think about building our personal branding. So the next slide. Yes, so now is the interesting part. Now I'll be bringing my, I have two amazing women here who have been doing so well in this area. I've followed their stories, I've followed their journey, and I have seen the beautiful things they're doing, amazing things they're doing. So the first person I will be diving and be dragging here, it's Marina. Now, I met her on the streets of Instagram. I like to meet people on the streets of social media. I met her on the streets of Instagram. She's going to quickly introduce herself and tell us more. But I mean, basically, I know she helps new entrepreneurs and small business owners to build their purpose proof and true to self personal brands to make more money online and live vivaciously. She's Egyptian born and New York based brand strategist, designer, coach, and a traveler. And I would like to bring her on now so she can tell us, introduce herself and tell us more on the questions that we tend to engage her on. So yes, Marina, welcome.
Hi, Vera. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
hi.
introduction.
Okay.
Your slideshow was incredible. I don't know if you saw
Thank you.
my face, but I was nodding the whole time.
Oh, great.
Everything you
Thank
said
you.
is truth.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for having me.
Mhm.
And like you said, I actually love helping freedom obsessed entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs who love to travel. Maybe they are in the
Okay.
travel business, maybe they're not. But
Mhm.
what ties them all together is that they love traveling, they love living their lives with the utmost freedom, they want to live vivaciously, and I help them get there by building a true to self personal brand. So that is kind
Okay.
of like the area that I specialize in, just getting people to represent who they are as authentically as possible online so that they can drive traffic through their business, as you said earlier.
Okay.
And I think that is the future of branding, really.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'd like to call on the other amazing woman that I have on the panelist too. She's Priscilla. I equally met her on the streets of LinkedIn, and just like Marina, I've actually been following her story, her journey, and I've seen the amazing things she's doing in promoting destinations. And one that resonates with me personally is how she's promoting destinations in Africa, which is the next slide. Could you move to the next slide? Okay. Okay, let me just go on when the next
That's
slide
the
appears.
correct one. It's expert panel. I have this.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The next slide. Yeah, that's
Another
Priscilla's
one.
slide. Yes, yes.
Okay. Q&A, it says.
Okay. I think there's a slide for Priscilla. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead. So I mean, she's been doing amazing things in um promoting destinations, and one of them that resonates with me, like I said, is how she's been promoting African destinations in the diaspora and to the African Americans, and I find that quite passionate. And so she's equally joined. She's equally one of the panel here, and we'll be engaging both of them. So my first question would be to Marina before I come over to Priscilla. So I'd like to find out from you, how have you been surviving in with the whole pandemic in being consistent in building your personal branding? How has this been working for you? I mean, for the past um, several months.
It's definitely been a rough time, and I
Uh-huh.
think it took a lot of like knowing who my audience is and why I'm showing up
Okay.
online. And I talk
Okay.
about that a lot. Is
Okay.
why are you doing what you're doing, right? Why are you showing up online? And
Mhm.
when you know the reason that
Mhm.
you're showing up, and when you know the reason why you're building content, and when you know the reason who you're showing up for and how that helps them, you actually start feeling motivated to continue to build the content. And I knew
Okay.
if I did not show up and if I didn't build that content and show up consistently as a thought leader, I know my business was going to die. So that was the only option here. And I think a lot of people have felt that during this rough time that we went through, and a lot of business that weren't online already struggled to get online. So people who were online, they just had to push through, show up consistently, and kind of pivot a little bit. And I would like to talk about pivoting later, but like, I think when you build that personal brand, it's easy for you to pivot. So it was easy for me to just kind of like take the old content that I was creating about travel and start talking about, okay, how do you build your personal brand to continue doing what you do online?
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I like how
Mhm.
you put that people who weren't doing this, it became a struggle for them. Yeah. So
Yep,
it's actually a buttress the reason why it's important to, I mean, do this right now.
absolutely.
I mean, moving forward. Okay. So I'm going over to Priscilla. Like I said, I've actually been monitoring her journey, following her journey. That's the right word, following her journey on LinkedIn, primarily, and I've been seeing the amazing stuff you've been doing. So. Um, I want you to know that how does um, how did you get into um, the process of building your personal brand? Was it something you've been doing in the past? When did you start it? How did you get into it?
Okay, so um, I own a company called Scylla Travel, and it's
Okay.
named after moi. So I
Yeah.
am actually I actually come from like an IT software engineering
Mhm.
background, and I've been on LinkedIn for a very long time. And I decided as I approach retirement, I really need to just start getting into my travel business and start getting it off of the ground. And then coronavirus comes. So now we're all at the same level, all travel advisors. And it was just a really, really rough time for us um, when Corona hit, and many of the travel advisors are the person or have been the person that's been, the one helping the clients when all of the reservations got canceled, flights got canceled, and people needed help getting their money back, or getting credits, trying to figure out this whole thing that just travel just went haywire. And those folks who were doing online travel agencies like Expedia, Bookit.com, those things, they weren't getting any help at all. They were like, basically they had to just fend for themselves. So at that point in time, I was doing run of the mill general travel, and I really didn't think that that's where I wanted to go. So that was the word pivot, that in the community was pivot. And so I said, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to figure out how to pivot. Um, and I started doing a little, research on the business side, since we had time to think about it. And the travel business is much different than the IT business. So the first thing I said, you know what, I need to change my LinkedIn profile, because everyone on
Okay.
LinkedIn knows me for all of my IT, engineering stuff. So I had to change that. When I built, then I built my business page, but I just had my personal page for the longest time. I said, I have to change the way that looks, because I want to be known as the travel advisor that, you know, helps people live their dream, which is specific than just that run of the mill travel. Um, and in order for people to do that, they have to know you, right? They're not going to
Yep.
spend thousands of dollars with you if they don't know
Mhm.
you, and if they don't, and they before they even get a chance to trust you, they absolutely have to know you. Then they trust you, and maybe they might like you. Maybe they may even end up loving you before they fork over the cash, because just think about this. Um, Especially after COVID, people were out of money, so people work hard, and I can identify with the clients because you work really hard for the money. You go to school, you raise your family, and then you sock away this money to have these great getaways, and then it's just heart wrenching if you can't go. So I started appealing, or thinking, I'm just going to appeal to people like me. I know how they think. So I'm like, people they want to get away from the grind basically, and they want to escape from their job, you know. So how do we do that? That's how I was able to make it, is just escape, go on vacation. I look forward to my vacations and traveling so I can get away from all of the pressures of life. So I said, you know, I really need to establish myself because I'm an unknown. I haven't been in the business as long as some. I had not had the opportunity to build my clientele like some of the other agents. It takes, what, 3 to 5 years to do that in normal times, right? So, and I
Yeah.
didn't do the run of the mill travel stuff. I wanted to do something special. And I started thinking about, what are these special things? What do you really, really want to do? And it's Africa travel. So I said, there are a lot of people out there that are like me, you know, professionals, African American, you know, diasporans who've never been there, you know. And I just started to focus on that because coronavirus you know, gave us that wedge, you know, it just gave us an opening because Europe was closed. Um, Many of the Caribbean islands were closed, although they opened up slowly. But the United States, you know, we have like high numbers. So this is the perfect opportunity to explore Africa. So I said, you know, I really want to brand myself, make myself known to people that if they want to travel to Africa, and if you're an African American or a diasporan and you just don't know where to start, just look for me, you know.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you're a techie, or you know, a business person or an entrepreneur, and you just really work hard and you want to have that bucket list trip, Africa is really one of those places that people have on their bucket list. Look for me, you know.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
that's where I
Yeah.
started, but I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about branding or these types of things because I'm in a totally different field and I had to learn. And it was hard, but that's where I started. And I just said, I'm just going to have to brand myself because my business is named after myself. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to specialize in. I was trying to figure that out. So I said, I got to brand myself. And that's what I started doing. And I started doing it purposefully. So,
Oh, great. Oh, great. That's a very interesting story. Looking at how you were marketing yourself, and you didn't even have a clue of what personal branding was, but that was what you were doing. So it's actually it cuts my interest, and I liked the line where you said it was named after you, and yes, so you had to market you. So I want to go over to Marina now, and then I want to ask looking at the changing or changed market landscape, from your experience, would you say personal branding is a smart business strategy?
Always.
Yeah.
Personal branding is always going to be a smart business strategy. People have been doing it all along. I mean, you have Steve Jobs for Apple. I mean, you've had all these like people that we know, we associate their brand with the person behind them. And those were the smart people that, you know, also branded themselves while building their business. And the reason I think it's a really smart strategy is because, as Priscilla said, you know, it's about pivoting, right? If you don't have that personal brand, you get stuck with your business. If your business was in travel and another pandemic happened, what are you going to do? You know, your personal brand protects you. It's like, think of it as immunity for your business. So I always think like I position myself separate from Living Vivaciously. Living Vivaciously offers branding services, but Marina, I have a mission that I'm after. I'm helping people live vivaciously. So it doesn't matter if I offer you a retreat, which I'm working on next year, or if I offer you t-shirts, you know, or my branding services, you are coming to me because you're connecting with me, you know, because I help you get to the end mission, regardless of what it is. When we think Apple, we think differently. It doesn't matter if they're selling iPads, you know, iPhones, whatever it is, the next thing they're going to come out with, we're going to buy because we want to be associated with think differently. So it's always that, think about like, how are you positioning yourself And how are people going to connect with that mission that you stand for aside from your business, right? It has to align, of course, but I
Yeah.
think when we think smart business strategy, we think, okay, how can I position myself in a way where my business will not die if something bad happens, you know?
Oh, great. Oh, great. Yeah. I find, I mean, that the line you said where the importance of building your personal brand, because I mean, you have to be immune. We have seen a lot that we learned from the pandemic, and we're
Yes.
all learning lessons
Yes.
every day. So it's actually a smart
Yeah,
move to implement those lessons we've learned and translate them into action. Thank you so much for that,
absolutely.
for bringing out that point. So I'm going to come
Of
back
course.
to Priscilla again, and I'm going to say, um, what challenges, if you have had any, have you had in building your personal brand? What challenges, if there's been any, and if there has been none, what opportunities has personal branding unlocked for you?
Well, yeah, there were definitely challenges because, like I said,
Okay.
I knew nothing about marketing. I'm like in the technical field. We don't
Mm.
generally think about that. You hire people to create something for you. But
Yeah.
being a business owner,
Mhm.
and my husband has a business too, and because he's an electrician, and he built his, I just watched him. He built his business on his reputation. And
Okay.
from his reputation, I just helped him like do the website and do the books and stuff like that. But he has a reputation where um, he does a great job. People know him and they trust him, and he's reasonable. So they recommend him, and that's how he gets most of his business. He'll do some work for one person, and then that other person will recommend him to some of their friends, so on and so forth. And that's how he does his business. And that's how his business was able to grow. And it's all on, referrals, word of mouth, that personal touch that he does when he goes to his client's house. Like he does a lot of lights. So, that's personal when you go and you're putting up lights in your kitchen or something like that. People are very, they're really into their kitchens. So, how his lights transform the kitchen, and the people are very pleased with that. And because of that, that personal touch, then they refer him to other people, and then he's known for what he does. So I said, I need to do the same thing. And I said to him, you're really known for what you do. I need to do that too. But what I'm doing now, it's travel. We don't have these brick and mortar locations anymore. There are some, but those are maybe some of the bigger companies, and maybe cities and things like that. But everyone is online now, especially now with Corona out there. And then, yeah, I've had some coaches, and they've been saying the same thing. You've got to get out there. You've got to show yourself, and that's hard. It's just weird. You just feel weird at first. You have to show a side of yourself. You have to, like Marina said, be authentic, show that personal side, not just your products that you're selling, because everybody's bombarded with all of these tours and all of these deals. But we see after Corona, those deals didn't make a difference at all, because people were out of money and they really want that person who knows what they're doing, because there are so many elements to putting together a trip. And like my tagline is, I help you live the dream through travel. So people want to live that dream, those places that they've never been to or they've dreamed about, when they were children. Now that we're all on lockdown, it's people see how important it is now. So when we are able to travel, we take it like, what I'm going to take that bucket list trip now. I'm going to go to Africa. I've always watched it on TV, watched other people doing it. I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to go to New Zealand because I want to see Hobbit Town or something like that from Lord of the Rings. You see, that's my techie side coming out, my nerdy side. But these are things that people want to do. They're like, the younger generation, like the millennials, they're like, hey, I would rather invest in a trip where I have experiences that I can remember, my entire life. But how do I do this? I don't really have time to do it. I need a professional to do this for me, someone that's going to forge a relationship with me, so that I feel like I can trust that person to make some of these decisions and take care of my money, and put that trip together for me. I don't have to worry about it like I worry about my job and like my business. All I have to do is show up at the airport. So that's why I'm trying to build that brand by um, educating, talking to people, because people don't know about Africa, that there are 54 countries. A lot of people don't know that, that West Africa is different than South Africa. They don't know these things, or East Africa. They don't know protocols. They don't know what to expect. They need someone to help them put this together so that they can actually live that dream that they've seen themselves living in the movies. So yeah, there have been challenges, and those challenges have mostly been trying to navigate this space and distinguish yourself from your peers. And what COVID did actually is put everybody at the same level. So I just figured I have to brand myself. I have to talk to those people that are like me, because those are the people that I know, and convince them. And the only way to convince them is, like you said, Steve Jobs and Gates, they branded themselves. I have to brand myself so that when people think of an experience, or experiential trip, or they want to do something that's so different than just laying around on the beach, they think of me. And they think of, well, that lady, she said she was, you know, and in software, and she knows how it is, so I can talk to her, because I understand, I believe that she understands what my plight is. So it's been long and tedious, and I've taken advantage of a lot of free services, because a lot of businesses were like, we're not making any money, we're just going to take advantage of our, get ourselves out there, and we're going to offer free services. And I got a brand audit, and that's really what helped me understand. So there were a lot of things that I didn't know, and I said, I'm just gonna start doing it. And it was slow, and I was just pleasantly surprised when Vera reached out, and I was like, "Wow, you're actually what? Wow, I'm just so impressed. It's working, So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for telling us some of the challenges that you have encountered, which is normal when you're embracing a new concept. And that the important thing is staying true and consistent, and that's what you've been doing. So thank you so very much to the two of you. Thank you for coming on board to share your experience and give you tips and advice. And I think at this point, we would need to move over to the question and answers if we have any questions. I don't know how much more time we have, so we could just wrap it up. If we could take just one question, if there's any.
Yeah, and if there are questions, you can just jump in or raise your hand. We don't have that many. It's just a few of us
Okay.
here.
I
Okay.
have a comment actually.
Go ahead,
Well,
Stephen.
first of all, thank you. I My name is Stephen Brown, and I'm
Okay.
originally from the United Kingdom. I live in New York now, and I've been in the travel industry for well since 1981. I started as a travel agent. I managed a travel agency. Then I joined, and before I mention his name, I've got to say, Vera, I quite agree with what you're talking about, what you have said about Richard Branson. I have been an employee of his actually. I started with the Virgin Group in 1992, and I had been there with Virgin Atlantic Airways for 3.5 years in the sales department before moving on to American Airlines, where I retired from last year after 24 years. And I joined the Virgin Group because of Richard, seeing his innovative mind, brilliant, savvy business um, attitude, and his zeal to be different. As all of you know, it's very important to be you, be dare to be different, and everyone will see, as Marina said, you've got to be authentic. And to piggyback, and all of you, is very important to know yourself, be consistent. And when everybody sees that, they trust you. When they hear your name, is synonymous with, you know what, I'm going to go with that person because I know what they're all about. Everything they say, they mean. And I could always go to them if there is a problem. Like, for instance, when this dreadful pandemic started, there were loads of people who were stuck in various parts of the world. And a lot of my clients were. I do, well, like I told somebody last week when they asked me, well, what sort of a travel do you do? I said, I deal with everything that moves except roaches. So all of that in there. And with the cruise lines, as you know, the cruise lines had a lot of problems, and a lot of my clients were stuck on the cruise lines, and so they were calling me trying to get everything sorted out for them to return home. It was indeed difficult. However, I was able to do it and make sure that they all came home, and they were quite happy about that. And I let people know, as Jorgen, will say with these webinars, that all these interesting hours, 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning here in New York, as Marina would know, and I would tell them, I don't care what time it is, and it does not matter where I am in the world. If you have a problem, call me. I will take care of whatever you need to be taken care of. And that's what it's all about in this business. And not only this business, whatever business you're in, it's being consistent, knowing who you are, and having that empathy with people. Because, and especially with this pandemic, people are going through quite a lot. And when they realize that you understand them, you understand what's going on with them, and you identify with them, then they know that, you know what, you are a real person. You care about me and other people. And that's what's so important. And I've got to say, it would be remiss if I don't say this to you, Vera, Marina, and Priscilla. I take my hat off to all three of you, brilliant women. And I do admire what you have done and what you're doing. And keep on doing the brilliant work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
well, that was wonderfully
My pleasure.
said, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm quite impressed. I didn't expect this out of this event. I learned a lot, and you have some amazing insight, and it's what we need. We need this type of also optimism and forward-looking approach through these crises, because we're not done with the crisis. We're not through there yet. We don't know what's going to be next. And as you know, I'm very much involved with the African Tourism Board, and I'm worried about Africa because it is specifically in tourism reopening too fast, reopening the industry. Africa doesn't have the infrastructure when it comes to healthcare and many other things. I think, and this is my personal opinion, we should stay home. I know, and not necessarily think about traveling to Africa immediately, but when the time is right, we should do that. It is just, it's Africa is probably one of the most fragile places on earth, and we all need to do our part, I think, to protect this and protect ourselves. Because if we do travel and we do get sick in Africa, you simply, in many cases, there are exceptions, of course, but in many countries you don't have the resources available. We don't even have the resources available here in the U.S. Our hospitals are running full. Our current government, that is hopefully done very soon here now, is not seeing this issue that people like here in Hawaii. if we get a spike in this epidemic, we don't have people we can put into a hospital the next state down. You know, we have to take care of these people, and this is this entire industry like this. So what you've been saying and you're doing, trying to find also alternatives in your marketing approach and adapting immediately. I wish everyone would be gifted enough to do that. And I think we would have a lot less problems. But well, are there any more questions? Well, if there isn't, this was a wonderful session, and I encourage every one of you. WTN is a new organization. We're not only living on local chapters, we would welcome anyone who wants to take an initiative and start a local chapter, but we're also living on interest sections. So if there's an interest in your field you wanted to start or lead or be part of, whether it's marketing, we put this in place. Please do so. I think it could benefit everyone. Eventually, it could benefit your business, and we would definitely welcome your participation. Anyone who's listening who hasn't joined us yet, go to wtn.travel. You can join us. You can also participate in upcoming events. We actually have 2 more today, and today is now my time in Hawaii. I know Nigeria is already tomorrow, but when I'm going today, we have Elitsa joining us from Bulgaria about also a technical solution in the travel and tourism business. That is up tonight at 9:45 Hawaii time. What would make it, let's go by London, it's easy, 7:45 in the morning London time. And then we have Tourism Recovery Task Force Asia, a really good panel discussion upcoming with Deepak Joshi, former CEO of the Nepal Tourism Board, and he's bringing in a panel from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and of course his own Himalayan country, Nepal. That will start at 11 p.m. tonight, what would be London time today at 9 a.m. But this was a really good session, and thank you so much for producing this. We will get the archive ready. We're going to start showing it to a lot more people, and all of you stay healthy. And if you do want to get involved in any of our activities, just send me an email, call me, and we get it all set up for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jürgen, for this opportunity. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Priscilla, for coming on board. Thank you, everyone, for coming in and listening.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
I appreciate
have a good one.
Thanks to all of you. Aloha. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.